Hey guys, what's up? How are you? Welcome back. It's your boy Hebot coming at you with a quick video, an impromptu, right? First and foremost, God bless each and every one of you. I hope you're in good health and I hope everything's okay and that you're feeling very blessed. Like I'm feeling today. I feel very blessed, even though it's hard and I've been having a lot of issues with my health and ailments, because I ran into a actual fan in the wild, and I figured let me do a quick video since I had some things on my mind that I wanted to talk about. And I want to give George a big shout out for being so kind and supportive to support someone like myself on my channel, because of the content that I'm providing. Which he also said and stated that he's Hispanic himself, and he's been trying to find more people that are Hispanic that do content based off video games, based off figures and pop culture. So I am truly humbled to you, George. Big shout outs to you for the support that you have given me and for your continued support, because he said he will continue to support the channel. And I promise you, like I promised my viewers and all the other viewers that support me, that I'll try to do my best to continue to provide good quality content that you guys can feel happy and comfortable with as long as I do this. So I'm going to put up a picture right here and do a quick pause so you guys can see that I took a picture with George at the local store, and so you can see who he is, and basically giving them a salute. And I'll be right back with the topics of my thoughts today. So there you have it. There's the great George. Big salute once again for all your love and support. It means the world to me, and I'm truly humbled. I mean that, brother. My Hispanic Latino brother, I really mean that. I feel proud to be able to represent on YouTube doing this with, at least from a Hispanic perspective. Not because it's about race or or trying to have equality, but from a Hispanic perspective as a Hispanic myself. Because I believe in equality for everyone. So guys, really fast, I want to talk about being a little hype, and I hope that you guys seen it on Twitter about Crytek talking about the, what are our fondest memories about, Ryse, Son of Rome. Now, we all know that Ryse, Son of Rome was a game that came out at launch during the Xbox One in 2013, and it really got bad slack by the media press. Not so much by the actual gamers, but by media, right? It got an average score, and they tried to downplay it, saying that it didn't have good gameplay mechanics, when the truth of the matter is that it absolutely did, because it had a learning curve. It was a counter combat system that if you played it on easy, it had a color coordinated system, but once you played it on a harder mode, it was very refreshing and it was very fulfilling because of the difficulty and the skills that you need to actually master the combat, right? Yes, it was very simplified in the sense that it only had one real main weapon, which is your sword, but you also had things like your shield, your berserk mode, using environmental weapons, and you can use environments to do environmental kills, and also use your squad to do certain areas with volley, with actual where you need to help you protect from like blocking and doing certain things within the game. And it also had an element of voice recognition that you could use either your Connect or pressing the button, holding it down, where you can tell your squad to do certain things like use volley, fire cannons to kill the enemies in certain spots in the game. It was basically different segments in the game where you had a different style of gameplay. Plus, it had quick time events. So the game was absolutely gorgeous. One of the most beautiful games of all time, in my humbled opinion, which I think most people now agree. And also, it had a fantastic, absolutely fantastic story that was unique and trying to be its own thing, using the mythos of the Roman era and the Spartans and things of that nature. But it was fantastic. Very underrated, very underwhelming. But again, awesome game. Now we fast forward all these years later, and it has become kind of a cult classic, cult following, where more people love it, appreciate it, really enjoyed it, especially when it went on in Game Pass. Unfortunately, yes, it had to go into Game Pass for more people to try it out, even though the game was very cheap to buy, whether it was digital or physical. And, for whatever reason, people just didn't take that dive or try to check it out. But nonetheless, Game Pass helped it get more of a bigger viewership and following, and people really enjoyed it. And so this was tweeted out by Crytek the other day. Fondest memories, with what we would speculate, with the idea that more than likely Crytek probably wants to know if there's a fan base big enough out there to try to revisit it and either do a sequel properly or a remaster, which I don't think it needs a remaster, to be quite honest with you. I think with Xbox Smart Delivery program, Crytek could easily revisit it and give free updates, make it 4K, 60 frames per second, even add HDR if they want to. And I think people would play the game again, enjoy it. But I would hope more for them to try to see if they can, capitalize on the foundation of the first game and actually do a sequel. Because the game, I think, deserves it. It warrants a good sequel. And it has a lot of potential and open doors for bigger and greater things, the way that they've done with other franchises on other companies, right? Such as, in this case, like they've done with God of War, where people like the changes, even though me personally, I didn't. And it actually got a following and people enjoyed the game, right? And I think it's a IP that deserves it. It's an IP that Microsoft owns. Crytek obviously has publishing rights, but it's an owned IP, I believe, by Microsoft, or it's an owned IP by Crytek, and Microsoft has the publishing rights. It might be vice versa. I'm not sure which one it is, but you guys down in the comments below, please correct me if I'm wrong. Please. And so, again, it's a lot of hype behind for me, personally, because I love the game. I've always stand by it. I always stood by its side. I always, proudly always cheered it on and said how good it really was, how underrated it was from the very beginning. So I hope you guys show your thoughts to Crytek, because the post is still up there. If you follow them on Twitter, you'll see. And tell them what you thought. Show pictures and screenshots the way I did of my in-game experience when I played it a couple of times. When I played the game and beat it about maybe 7 times, I think. So, because I really enjoyed it. So, I would say go to their Twitter handle, put your thoughts on it, show pics, and say, listen, we deserve a sequel. And tell them, please, do an update with Smart Delivery. I would love to play the game in 4K 60 with HDR. It would be fantastic. I think it will make the game look incredibly good and fresh once again for those who never really played it in a higher quality, or that probably may be the small amount of people that still to this day have not played the game. So please, guys, go to Crytek's handle and put your thoughts on that tweet, because I think if we give bigger word of mouth, it can lead to bigger and greater things, as we've seen in the past with other things, that our voice matters for when we speak loud enough to let people know that there's interest, right? And also, so the next thing I want to talk about is Quantum Break. Quantum Break came and went long ago, an IP that Microsoft owns, and I'm so happy. I think it's so incredibly funny that you've seen a lot of these, frauds and that be, on YouTube that really quick try to weaponize the idea that it was coming out of Game Pass, that the game was, was not supported, Xbox didn't buy it, that it was dirt cheap, and they're taking it out because they're going to sell the property back to, Remedy. Because that's really the idea of why people were doing that, trying to, push the agenda that more than likely was going to be sold to, back to Remedy, and Microsoft was going to lose the IP because they don't care about it, and that's why they suck, and that's why nobody respects them, because they don't know how to protect IPs, and this and that and that and this. And that was the agenda behind it. Nobody had to tell me straight to my face, because I've been around the block long enough, whether from the gaming perspective, starting all the way back from the recess in playgrounds to the arcades to our friends' homes, console warring. I know what they were trying to do. And now with social media and gaming, where they try to make it seem as if everything Microsoft do is conspiracy, or it's for some type of agenda, or that they lied saying that all their games that from first party were always going to be in Game Pass, and look, now they took it out like they did with Forza, when there's certain discrepancies and there's certain cases and scenarios that is out of their control, right? Not to seem like I'm damage controlling, these are just facts, because licensings are very important and things that are very big that you have to keep paying out, dishing out money to the license holders to make sure that you're able to continue to maintain it or keep it on your set platform, right? In the case of Forza, every time a new Forza game comes out, if they're going to do licensing, that licensing priority has to go to the new game, not the old ones, because they've already been out long enough and people already have them. Now, that's why I always tell people, please buy the Forza series physically, because the physical copy will always maintain all the content in the game, and you never have to worry about losing it. In the case of Forza, this is one of those cases, and a good example, when owning the disc is very viable and very important. Forza's content cannot be touched on the disc, but in the digital front it can. So that's why I always push people to buy the Forza physically. This is a very good case and why physical medium, an example, is still relevant and very much important. And so with the case of Quantum Break, people seem to forget Quantum Break had a lot of heavy real life FMVs, full motion videos, like back in the day in the CD era when it first started, with games like Night Trap, Sewer Shark, Corpse Killer, and so forth and so forth. These games had a lot of high profile actors from Hollywood, like, may he rest in peace, our brother Langus, that just passed away, that he was also in games like Horizon, Forbidden West, and even Destiny. But his first big, I believe, game debut was on Quantum Break. He's one of the main characters, which right now, on the top of my head, please forgive me, I can't remember the character's name that he plays, but he's in the game. So those licensing fees have to be, they have to be honored. They have to be paid. And also, if it has music from actual artists and actual music from the real world of our reality, you got to pay those licensing fees. Even though the game still, no longer sells the way it was, because all games make their money in their first initial sales. That's not how it works when it comes to licensing. It doesn't matter if the game's old, new. If you want to have it in there, you have to keep paying licensing. That's why Sega, if you guys remember, when they re-released Crazy Taxi on the Xbox Marketplace, they took out all of the product placement, like Pizza Hut, Virgin Records, Blockbuster Video, all that stuff, because all those licensing had to be paid and renewed, or they no longer exist, like in the case of Virgin Records. Excuse me, guys, having a little iced coffee. So anyway, sugar-free, of course. So anyway, that's an example on why you cannot just be like, oh, okay, no big deal. We're just going to do this and not that. You cannot do that when it comes to licensing. That's why Sega had to change that. Same thing like Shinobi. If you guys go to the old school Shinobi, the very first one in the arcades, you remember that it used to have pictures in the second level of the first stage or the first world, right, of Marilyn Monroe on the bricks and the walls. When they did revisions of those games in the future, when they started releasing for the first time on consoles the arcade versions, that picture of Marilyn Monroe is no longer in that game. They took it out and put a picture of someone else, like another person that they made up, or another person that's not a star. Random, right? A lot of times they use actual pictures of developers that made the game within the actual stories themselves, or the backgrounds and pictures of actual developers. That's they do a lot of times. So anyway, and that's for cost efficiency, to avoid any, lawsuits and things of that nature. So anyway, that's another example that they did with Shinobi. They had to move that out and remove it, because again, licensing is a thing. You have to pay for licenses. In the case of Forza, was the cars. So that's why they renew it for the new games and discontinue all of the older games, or delist them from the digital front, home front, because of that. Because they're not going to pay for the licensing for the new game and the old game if the new game is what's going to make the money. It's no longer the old game. So that's another thing that I thought was great, that now the dum-dums really quick started to do the attack mode or the agenda mode of Quantum Break. Oh no, Xbox, you're so dumb. Now they look really, really stupid and silly for opening their mouth before, the eggs hatching, so to speak, right? So I'm really glad, because it's renewed, right? Obviously, whatever they needed to take care of with Remedy and whoever else was handled really fast. 2 days later, boop, they put it back in. And it's funny how people were saying it didn't sell, and that's why the game was going to be also removed. When I have all the proven articles, and I put it on Twitter with this guy, and he didn't say a peep after the fact, where it said and showed that Quantum Break was the most successful brand new IP of Xbox on the Xbox One generation. And I have all the proof to back it up and showed it, because these guys don't pay attention. And that was before Game Pass existed. So you can't say, oh yeah, it sold because they just played it on Game Pass. No. Game did well on its own before it went on Game Pass, because Game Pass didn't even exist at that time. So yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that these guys got proven wrong once again, and that they feel quite stupid, to be honest. So that's pretty much what I had in mind and my thoughts. Maybe there's a little things here and there. They did announce the brand new natured controller that was made supposedly with, recycled parts and things that have to do with nature. And it looks quite nice, to be honest, with all the different shades of green, beige, and browns. I just think it's a little heavy on the price, but I think it's because of the nature of how it's created with the recycled parts. Because it's like $80, I believe. But for those who enjoy controllers and enjoy the idea, and I don't know if these sales are going to go towards the habitat of nature to try to preserve it and help make sure that they're safe and better environments and make things more environmental friendly. If some of the funds are going to that, then I also understand why the price is probably higher. And obviously, another thing that I saw, last but certainly not least, Microsoft is finally getting the support, finally, from third-party hard drive distributors making more of the chips and cards that support the Xbox technology with the Velocity architecture, in which, they're going to be no longer proprietary first party. You'll have third party from other companies like Western Digital doing the first one at a cheaper price and rate, which means hopefully we'll get more hard drive space, like 2 terabytes, 3 terabytes, 4 terabytes, and only pay a fraction of what they're going for now. Because a 4 terabyte, which essentially would be 2 terabyte hard drives that you buy of those, mini cards for Microsoft, would basically be the cost almost of a brand new console, right? And in this case, if you can get a third party like Western Digital, Seagate, Samsung to do SSDs with the Velocity architecture built in it, right, that are not proprietary, then you can potentially pay for a 4 terabyte, maybe let's say 200, as opposed to 4 or 550, which is great. So no longer can we have this argument of, oh, Sony, oh, they beat Xbox in that position, when the reality is it's not true, because the ease and the access and accessibility of how you use it will still outweigh the fact that on a PS5 you still have to look at a video to open the thing up, unscrew it, put heat sinks on it, or make sure you get a actual hard drive with heat sink, bolt it back on, and put everything back together. That the reality of it is that anybody that's a casual person is not going to want to take that risk, because they tell you if you open it up and do it yourself and something gets ruined or messed up, we are not responsible. We will not refund you or exchange or replace a console for you. So just knowing that alone in the back of your head, even if you take the chance and just imagining that something does go wrong, right, and it does get ruined, then why would you want to take that chance? Especially if they're not going to have your back by replacing it or at least fixing it for you, right? So again, it's a great thing that we're going to have other options, because options is always good. It's a shame that it took Xbox a little long to get to that point, but I think it's because the actual distributors of hard drives did not want to be participating in making different hard drives for Xbox that are SSD compatible due to the expense, because it's very expensive to this day still. So it's understandable from a business standpoint. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about real quick. Remember, go follow Crytek. Give them your thoughts. Go play Quantum Break if you haven't played it. Ask Remedy and Xbox to give up boost mode for that game as well. And, just keep it gaming, guys. Hopefully, I'll be able to do what we got next soon, and you'll be able to join me, hopefully. And when I do, I hope you're there with me and stop by. This is He-Bot signing off. Xbox for life. Like a sickness that can't be cured. That's my saying. That's my slogan. Don't get triggered, people. It's all in gaming. It's all in good fun. Until the next one, guys. Peace. Love you guys. And George, thanks so much for the support, brother. Big shout outs to you once again. Hope to continue to see you in my comments in the future. Bye-bye.